billions of dollars have vanished in the name of security. Countless soldiers have fallen. Millions have lost their homes. Yet, the violence persists. Unending, relentless. But what if this war was never meant to end? What if those in power are the very ones keeping it alive? This isn't just rumor or speculation. There's evidence. Some open, some hidden, but all pointing to one unsettling truth. Certain elements within Nigeria's government are allegedly funding, shielding, and benefiting from terrorism. One forgotten viral video captures this chilling reality. A captured militant confessed in haunting words, "I swear to Almighty God, it is the government that arms us. We Fulani don't know guns. We were just sitting, and they handed us AK-47s. Those words didn't come from an opposition politician. They came from a fighter on the battlefield." That single video, quickly dismissed by authorities as mere propaganda, actually echoes what many insiders and international observers have long suspected. Retired Major General John Enenche, a former director of Defense Information, along with several security experts, has openly stated that the Nigerian government is aware of those funding terrorism, but has chosen not to bring them to justice. This pattern dates as far back as 2012. Retired Navy Commodore Kunle Olawunmi revealed that the Department of State Services, DSS, is fully aware of those financing terrorism in Nigeria, but the government lacks the will to confront them. In 2022, the United Arab Emirates uncovered and convicted 6 Nigerians for funding Boko Haram. After a joint investigation with the U.S. Treasury Department, their accounts were frozen and their names publicly released. Yet the Nigerian government neither acted nor launched any internal probe. According to U.S. Treasury findings, these individuals operated under the protection of powerful political figures. The report further underscored that terrorism thrives on vast financial networks. Money that moves through formal banking systems, not the battlefield.
Oversight. It was a decision. Terrorism is expensive. Guns, vehicles, logistics, ransom payments, they all cost money. And that money doesn't move through the desert. It moves
through banks. According to Premium Times and Reuters, Nigerian banks have handled suspicious transactions linked to ransom payments, gold smuggling, and arms importation. The United States even shared intelligence with Nigeria's financial agencies, identifying accounts suspected of terrorism financing. But no prosecutions followed. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, knows the accounts. The Department of State Services, DSS, knows the names. Yet no one acts. Because in Nigeria, terrorism isn't just a crime. It's a business. It doesn't stop there. In 2021, the Cable and Daily Trust reported that the federal government paid 800 million naira to bandits for the release of Kagara students in Niger State. The deal was labeled a peace negotiation, but security sources confirmed it was ransom money. Imagine that.
Gumi appeared in photos surrounded by armed bandits. Many thought it was satire, but it was real. He openly advocated for negotiations, claiming, "Bombing bandits will only worsen killings." Gumi even called the US an enemy of Nigeria for proposing airstrikes against terrorists. Instead of arresting him, the government gave him safe passage. That image, a cleric sitting comfortably among men with AK-47s, captures Nigeria's biggest scandal: the merging of state power, religion, and armed violence. While killers get meetings and rewards, journalists, protesters, and whistleblowers get threats. protesters labeled as terrorists to the arrests of activists who exposed corruption, the government's priorities are clear. The real enemies in their eyes aren't the ones holding guns, but the ones holding truth. What we are seeing in Nigeria today is a cycle: terrorists attack civilians. The government releases statements and allocates new security budgets. Part of those funds are siphoned off through fake defense contracts and corrupt procurement. The rest ends up paying ransoms, buying silence, and arming the next set of killers. Every kidnap more students in Tagina and Kaduna. Meanwhile, the government launched the so-called rehabilitation program for repentant terrorists. Some were sent abroad for foreign education under the Senate's Operation Safe Corridor initiative, a program that rebrands murderers as victims and victims as collateral damage. As one angry Nigerian said online, "So a farmer whose family was killed gets no compensation, but a terrorist gets a scholarship." A former Air Force intelligence officer once described it perfectly. This government is fighting terrorism with one hand and feeding it with the other. The deeper you look, the clearer it becomes that this is not negligence, it's partnership. In 2021, Nigeria's Minister of Communication, Isa Ali Pantami, faced global outrage after reports surfaced of his past sympathies for jihadist groups. Old sermons where he praised Al-Qaeda and the Taliban resurfaced, and citizens demanded his resignation. He admitted making mistakes, but remained in office, shielded by the presidency. To the international community, this was a red flag. A man once accused of sympathizing with global terror network. The national community, this was a red flag. A man once accused of sympathizing with global terror networks remained part of the same government claiming to fight terrorism. Olai Mohammed, the then Minister of Information, who in 2023 publicly admitted that Christians were indeed being targeted in Nigeria, effectively confirming what the government had denied for years. Yet again, no action followed. And then there's Samuel Ortom, former governor of Benue State. In one fiery statement, he accused the federal government of colluding with foreign interests to Islamize and take over Nigeria. He said the truth most leaders fear to say, that the government's silence in the face of these killings is not incompetence, it's complicity. In early 2024, a viral image showed Nigeria's current vice president sitting on the ground, eating with men who had once been declared wanted bandits. The government called it a peace meeting, but for millions of Nigerians, it was an image of betrayal. Because while citizens are told to pray for security, their leaders are busy dining with the same people who burn villages and kill farmers. This is how deep the rot goes. From the battlefield, part of those funds are siphoned off through fake defense contracts and corrupt procurement. The rest ends up paying ransoms, buying silence, and arming the next set of killers. Every tragedy becomes an opportunity to make money. Every crisis becomes a contract. That is why the war never ends. It was never meant to. The UAE released its list of terror financiers. The US raised alarms. The EU called for independent investigations. But the only reaction from the Nigerian government was that such reports were damaging Nigeria's image. But let's be honest, what image is left to damage? Soldiers die in ambushes because their rifles jam. Villagers are forced to pay protection money to armed groups, and the same terrorists are invited to peace meetings. It's not the reports damaging Nigeria's image, it's the reality. The war Nigeria needs to fight isn't against insurgents in the forest, it's against the betrayers in the palace. The enemies wearing camouflage are not the only ones with guns. The The ones in suits and agbadas signing security budgets are far more dangerous because they don't just kill with weapons, they kill with silence, policy, and greed until those